Welcome, dear viewer, to my review of Dororo by Osamu Tezuka. Now, before I actually begin this review, I'd like to provide some background information. Dororo was a shonen manga released from 1967 to 1969. The story takes place in the Sengoku period in Japan, which is an era in the 16th century where military conflict was constant. Dororo tells the story of Hyakamaru, a boy sacrificed by his father to 48 demons for power. Each demon possesses a part of his body, and in order for Hyakamaru to obtain his full body, he needs to defeat all the 48 demons. In his journey, Hyakamaru encounters an orphan thief named Dororo, and together they form a brotherly bond as he goes on his journey. However, in the journey they encounter more conflicts due to the involvement of Dororo and his late father. Moving on to the review, I'd like to begin by talking about the two protagonists, Hyakimaru and Dororo. I'll begin with Hyakimaru since he is the main focus of the story. Hyakimaru's childhood is pretty straightforward. His father sacrificed him to 48 demons, who each obtained a part of his body. His mother dumped him into a river since she saw that he was a hopeless case. He was found by a doctor who adopted him and created prosthetics for him in order for him to function like a normal person in society. As Hikomaru grew older, more ghouls started to possess the house in which him and his father lived. So his father told him that he needs to leave in order to begin his journey and defeat the 48 demons. Now, my favorite aspect of Hikomaru is the fact that he is extremely determined to find his body parts. Even though there are many obstacles that encounter his way, for example, the lack of sight, hearing, basically the lack of all the five senses, he still is determined to find the body parts and believes that he can. And he is capable. Another aspect of Hyakumaru that I truly appreciate is the fact that he has a very interesting backstory. The story begins with his backstory, and as a reader, I was quite involved in it, and it lured me to continue reading the story. And finally, in my perspective, the design of Hyukumaru is quite interesting, and I truly appreciate it. I, however, found it quite ironic that he looks the same even after obtaining his body parts, meaning that his prosthetics were quite accurate to the way in which he actually looks. One other aspect that I find quite negative about Hyukumaru is that his purpose is quite on and off, especially after he encounters Dororo. I guess that is due to the fact that he does grow an attachment to Dororo, but it can become quite confusing to me as a reader when he goes on and off with what he wants to do. Whether his only purpose is to obtain his 48 body parts, or he has another purpose to help Dororo in his journey. Now I'd like to talk about Dororo, who is often labeled as the sidekick of Hyukumaru, despite the fact that the series is titled after him. Now, Dororo is a child orphan. He was orphaned due to famine. Aspects of Dororo that I truly appreciate is the fact that he is a wonderful representation of transgender people, specifically transgender children. Now, the reason I believe that he is a wonderful representation is the fact that he is not fetishized or used as a gag throughout the story. He is actually one of the most significant characters in the story, and the fact that he is transgender does not really change anything in the story. It is just a fact that is there for people to see. However, many people do treat him differently after finding out that he was born a female, and they do often call him a female, even though he denies it and he calls himself a boy. And he does not understand why people do call him a female when they find out that he was born one. Another aspect of Dororo that I appreciate is the fact that he is a hard worker, and he tries his best to help Hyukumaru, and he wants to be there for him throughout the whole journey. Now, he forms a brotherly bond with Hyakumaru, and he truly views him as an older brother. And he definitely always calls him brother. Well, bro. but he does view him as a brother and he tries his best to help him, even though he is a child and he is less capable than Hyakkimaru throughout the whole story. The only negative aspects I would say about Dororo is the fact that he does act childlike, but however that is due to the fact that he is a child. Therefore, he's less experienced than the other characters in the story, and we cannot expect much of him due to the fact that he's most probably under the age of 10. But other than that, he is a wonderful character and I did appreciate him throughout the whole story. And I especially found him very cute due to the fact that he does act very childlike. Now, the arcs in Dororo are fairly short, and it is a fairly short series. It is only 3 volumes actually. But my favorite arc, I would say, is the Buddha arc. Now, the arcs don't really have official names, so I get to name them out of my mind. So the story of the Buddha arc is that there's a demon that disguises herself as any shape or form that lures people into a river. And when the people are dumped into the river, they are sacrificed to a demon that is disguised as a Buddha. Now, this story focuses on Dororo, and the demon disguises herself as Dororo's mother. And she tries to lure him in order to sacrifice him. And the disguised demon actually grows an attachment towards Dororo, and she almost sees him as her own son. Now, the reason why this is my favorite arc is because it shows the humanity in the demons, the diversity of the demons actually. Before that, demons were only seen as simply an enemy that he needs to kill, and they all pretty much had the same personality. They all had the same drive, motive. They just want to get rid of Hyakkimaru. In this case, the demon in the beginning did have that intention. However, it does grow to love Dororo and try to protect Dororo from the Buddha disguised demon. Another aspect I truly love is that it kind of shows the importance of Buddhism in the society in Dororo, due to the fact that almost every character does recognize that it is a Buddha. And I like to believe that the other people that were sacrificed before Dororo actually would think that they were being sacrificed for good. Overall, I would say that the pros of Dororo is the fact that it displays the true misery and struggles of the Sengoku period in Japan. Throughout the whole story, we see that the people other than Dororo and Hyakkimaru are in fact suffering. Most people are suffering due to famine and poverty from the fact that the leaders do use a lot of resources in order to actually act upon their military conflicts and try to conclude their conflicts. So we get to see in many different villages that people are being burnt to death, people are being killed, being slaughtered, struggling from famine. It is quite a miserable setting, and I think that it would be a good representation of the Sengoku period. Another aspect that I truly love is the fact that it is adventurous, it's fun, it's lighthearted, it's an enjoyable read overall. And I do like the art. I think that it's very cute, actually. And the ending of Dororo is quite satisfying and bittersweet. However, I will not get into detail for that due to the fact that I do not want to spoil the story. The cons, however, I would say is that it can be quite confusing as to what the main purpose of the story is. It quite jumps back and forth between the journey of Dororo and the journey of Hyakkimaru. And we often see that they do fight each other and then get back with each other. And it happens quite often, and it can be quite confusing to me as a reader. Overall, I recommend this story if you enjoy adventures and you want a light, easy read, and you're overall a fan of Tezuka's works. However, I do not recommend Dororo if you prefer more mature content and aren't a fan of older manga from before the 1990s.